got an opening question for you, right? If your bank account went zero tomorrow, part of your wealth would still remain. Hey, welcome, 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 welcome. If you lost every dollar tomorrow, and just think about that, what part of your wealth would still remain? Well, I recently read an article by Horace Albert titled Black Family Need to Start Talking at the Table. Right? He was talking specifically about talking about finances, and this pretty much is a finance show. It's about personal finances, family finances. He reminded us that too often the conversations about money, stock, life insurance, savings, and investments were left out of the family discussions, and we don't talk, we don't teach, and when we don't teach, we don't transfer wealth. We really don't, right? Now we talk all about, we can pinpoint down in history when we lost land, when we lost valuables because family did not talk. Matter of fact, a few weeks ago I was visiting a friend of mine, a high school friend, and they were actually talking about land that they may have. They don't know. They heard, right? And there's not a plan. And not only do we not talk about finances, we don't talk about anything. We don't sit at the table anymore. That conversation has never been so urgent. Now we're living in the middle of a wealth transfer. Over $124 trillion is moving from one generation to the next in over 2 decades. What's going to happen to that money? Will that money continue to grow through generations? Through generations, we talk about generational wealth. It doesn't happen magically. It must be planned. It must be thought of, right? A family is a business. Just think if the business didn't have leadership, what would happen to that? What would happen to that business? The same what happened to that family. You got to have strategic vision, right, for your family. That's why we're here, basically. So, and at the same time, we at the Genius Act, the Clarity Act is reshaping our monetary system and changing how money moves and how it's taxed and even how it's stored. It's changing the world system. And I want to share a video with you of Russian President Advisor Anton, hopefully I get this name right. Practice this name. And it's not that hard. Bykov. Listen to what he says. You know, he was at an economic forum letting the world know about the U.S. plans to manage its $35 trillion national debt. I think I've heard 37 trillion. Man, can you think of those numbers? $37 trillion. Think if you were in that much debt, right? Now, so he was telling the world how we're planning to shift that debt through cryptocurrency and also gold. He suggested that the U.S. intends to leverage those things by moving the debt into stable coins, thereby devaluating the dollar. All right, listen, which will make you wealthier, and not, excuse me, by devaluating the dollar, he will actually make you poor.
To change the rules in the gold and cryptocurrency markets. Remember how much debt they have, $35 trillion. Essentially, these are two alternative segments to the global currency market. Washington's actions in this direction clearly demonstrate one of America's main objectives. They are very eager to solve the problem of declining trust in the dollar. The US, just as it did in the 1930s and 1970s, will solve its financial problems at the expense of the entire world, driving everyone where? Into the cryptocurrency cloud. Over time, when part of the US national debt is placed in stablecoins, the US will devalue that debt. Once again, in simple terms, Right now, they have a $35 trillion currency debt. They move it into crypto, into the cloud, devalue it, and start from scratch. This is for those who really love dealing with crypto.
Wow. Are we ready for that? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? I mean, by devaluating the dollar, money sitting in your bank is going to be eaten up by inflation. It's going to be eaten up. Your dollar, what was worth a dollar today, actually, the dollar has been devaluated almost 90% since 1913. And you heard him say 1930s, you know, actually, I say the United States, the way we've handled our economic situation has really, I don't want to use treason, but it's almost treasonous, not only against the American citizen, but also the world, because after World War II, the Bretton Woods Conference, we were the only country what didn't suffer just total economic annihilation from the war. Matter of fact, we probably benefited from the war. So our our fiscal policy, the world trusted, and the dollar was based on the gold standard. And 1971, that was totally broken up when Nixon took us off the gold standard. So the real question is, the world no longer trusts the dollar, which is the reserve currency, and which is why the dollar is in such demand, which is really why our country has been so wealthy compared to the rest of the world. Question is, as the trust, worldwide trust, wane from the dollar, is destroyed. The real question is, are you ready what's coming? Are we prepared to secure our wealth so that we protect the real wealth? Are we about to let it slip through our fingers again? Now, everyone knows they're telling us what's going on. Getting back to the article, Horace shared memories of insurance agents coming to collect premiums at the door. I mean, that's like all of us, right? And how stock investment seems. Um, Investing seem out of reach for most of the households. And we didn't talk about it. So let's talk about insurance. I've had a few conversations with people. Okay, of course, that's my business. I am in the insurance business. That's where I make my money. So there's a real distrust in the black community about life insurance because I've seen it where you see your grandparents, your aunties, uncles, they leave that little pouch at the door for the policy man. But and they do it for like 20, 30 years, but when it comes time to even bury them, they barely have any money in that account. They barely can bury them. That's because, and this goes back to education, they purchased a declining term policy. I have yet to see a declining term policy. Hopefully that's gone away. There's a reason that goes back to what I say about the tools. It's not the tool, because there's a real function for a declining term, especially with a young family as they begin to build wealth, they build their cash policy, and then that declining term gets less and less. There's a real purpose for that. But if we don't understand what we have, what we signed up with, most of us just we see the policy. Yeah, I got this policy. I don't read it, right? I don't ask questions because I don't want to seem dumb. And most of the time, the agents, not that that we're bad people. It's not that. Sometimes we don't know because all we want to do is sell. That's the focus. We want to get the commission, right?